Coming up next, India, with my special guests, Emmanuel College professor John Paul Sydnor and some of his students. Stay tuned. Hello, I'm Jack Barron, host of Travels with Jack on Access Framingham TV, where guests share with our audience a recent trip, a vacation, a cruise, or even a business trip. They'll share their photos, and you'll hear about the very interesting places they have visited. On this month's show, Professor John Paul Sydnor returns to Travels with Jack to share with us his June 2014 trip to Karnataka, India. Joining John Paul are some of the students who accompanied him, Alyssa Wyman, Aastha, Mahajan, and Jill O'Neill. What part of the world have you visited? Please be my guest on Travels with Jack and share your travel experience with our viewing audience. Please phone us at Access Framingham TV and let us know you'd like to be a guest. You can phone AFTV at 508-875-5434, or you can send an email message to info@accessfram.tv. Our associate producer will contact you to make arrangements for you to be on our show here on AFTV. If you don't live in Massachusetts, we would be pleased to assist with your travel to the Access Framingham studios. And now, let me welcome today's guests, John Paul Sydnor and his students. Welcome to all of you. Thank you for going through all that. A couple of notes for our audience. Jill is from Attleboro, Massachusetts, and is majoring in neuropsychology. Alyssa is from South Paris, Maine, and she is a criminal justice and sociology major. And Aastha is from Shrewsbury, Mass, and is also a criminal justice and sociology major. J.P. Sydnor, sitting with the shirt on, is an associate producer, the professor of world religions at Emmanuel College here in Boston. He grew up in Richmond, Virginia, but currently lives in Walpole with his wife, Abby, who is a pastor, and his 3 school-age children. The 2 sons have been a guest on our show previously and were terrific. In June 2014, as we told you, his group, which was 10 people plus himself, traveled to India and to the state of Karnataka. And I may not be pronouncing that, but they can correct me as we move along in the show. And welcome, and tell me a little bit about the trip to India. We'll have pictures coming up, and our executive producer, Bill, will have a map so you can explain that to the folks. But my first question was, how did you get there?
We took a very, very long flight from Boston to Frankfurt, Germany.
Oh, okay.
And then we went from Germany to Bangalore, India. And it was a very long trip.
About how long would you say?
I think each plane ride was about 9 hours each.
Oh,
Yeah.
and then what, about a 2-hour stop in Frankfurt?
Yeah, just about.
So about 20 hours.
Yeah.
That's a hike.
We arrived,
Yeah.
we arrived at 1 a.m. Did we arrive at 1 a.m.?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah,
1
1
a.m.
Yeah. 1 a.m.
Did everyone's luggage get there?
Yes,
Oh,
thankfully.
Where did you fly into? New Delhi or Delhi or?
Bangalore.
Oh, Bangalore. I'm sorry.
Yep.
Very good. And so what was your initial thoughts when you got to Bangalore? What was you went into this airport? Is it a modern airport, old airport?
It was modern, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, it was nighttime, so I think pretty much, I know I was really tired and I was like, oh, we're here. Wow, this is great. But I was really excited to move on to the next day and just sleep through the rest of the night.
And your initial accommodations, where did the professor drag you off to?
It was just a little hotel, I think. We weren't there for very long, just to catch a few hours sleep before we went to the
That
next
was
place.
not your official place to stay then?
No.
Oh,
Yeah.
so you went to a local hotel, and then tell me a little bit about your next day, I guess.
I think we went to a school, so we left that hotel and then we went to another hotel, and that was where we met our tour guide Anu, and she kind of just briefed us with what we were going to be doing for the
Now,
trip.
was she with you the whole trip? You were
Yes.
there almost 3 weeks.
Yes, yep, she was there with us the whole time, and she kind of just gave us information about what we're going to be doing, and pretty much from there.
She's the best in the business.
Yeah, she's
So
awesome.
you had worked with her before?
Yes, she was with me on my first trip to Tamil Nadu, and she works with a group called BCA.
I'm glad you can say all the words. Go ahead.
She works with a group called BCA, Brethren Colleges Abroad.
Okay.
And she's their in-country host and guide, and she's just fantastic at what she does. She's the best in the business, and yeah, she's great at it.
Okay, so she got you all together, and Bill, you're going to give us a map as soon as you can, and you can maybe give me a little bit of idea of where you traveled to with her. There we go. There's the map.
So here's India, just to orient you. You see Pakistan, upper left-hand corner. Karnataka is in the lower left-hand corner.
In a little bit of a yellow color.
Yeah,
Tan.
it's between the two green states on the west coast in the south. That's it right there.
Perfect. Okay.
So that's the only state we were in. You can't do all of India. We have 3 weeks. It would just be too exhausting, too expensive. So we just did that one state, which is fantastic because there's plenty to see and do in Karnataka.
Now,
and that's
this
a close-up
was
map of
June.
Karnataka.
Did you pick this particular state for any reason?
Yes, I chose this state because if you go to the Gangetic Plain area, New Delhi, Agra, Varanasi, in the summer, the temperature can get up to 110, sometimes even 120 degrees. So that would be unpleasant and possibly even dangerous. So Karnataka is somewhat elevated, so it's cooler, so it's a better place to go in June than North India.
And how did you women find the temperature there? Were you comfortable?
I was a little hot.
Okay.
It's a little bit warmer than I was
Well,
used to.
coming from Maine,
Yeah.
you know.
And it really humid, so it was definitely different from sitting on a lake at home when it's like 85. But generally, it was actually pretty comfortable. It wasn't
Okay.
too bad.
And you're originally from India, correct, Aastha?
Yes.
And is this the state you're from?
No, I'm from closer to New Delhi.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Jill, you're not from India. So.
No, I wish.
So they got you together. You what? Went on a bus?
Nope. So just in our hotel, we met Anu, and we had like a little conference room. So we went there, and then from there we had our first real Indian meal, which was amazing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was great. And then from there, I believe we went to a school that was right down the street. Right. It was like a. I don't
And it's
know what
free
that is.
school. So we have some pictures of it. If you pan through the pictures, we can show what we did the first day, which was basically we were invited to
there we are. Oh, is that
speak.
your guide in the?
That is not. That's
No.
one of
Oh.
the teachers in the school, and those are
Okay.
two of the students on the trip with us. And so we were just talking to the students, and these students were very extroverted, very engaged, asked a whole bunch of questions, and that was just fun.
Now, were they used to seeing Americans, or were you kind
No,
of
not at all.
Yeah.
Oh,
Not at
so
all.
you were kind of strange to them.
Yeah.
And each classroom had a different topic they were studying too, so we were supposed to relate back to what, like America versus India. Like I know ours was talking about house structure, so they wanted to know. They were fascinated that our houses were made out of wood
Oh, really?
and not cement, and they wanted to know how many TVs we had and things like that. So it was really cool. It was really interesting.
Then we kind of walked around the city some and saw some of the markets in the city.
Oh, look at the colors.
Is that Mariah?
Those
Yeah.
are bracelets, huh?
Yep.
Wow.
There were a ton of stands like that everywhere, just with so many bright colors, and they were just so beautiful.
Oh, they are. Wow.
Now, this is Dorian and Sam. They were supposed to be on the show tonight, but they stood us up. And,
Well, maybe they continued their pictures together.
yeah, I don't know. We're crying on the inside right now.
Oh, here you go, JP.
Well, don't pick on them too much.
So I thought this was an interesting picture. This is McDonald's, and this is something they serve, paneer, and paneer is cheese. So it's basically a vegetarian cheese sandwich.
Oh, it looks good.
Yeah, showing how McDonald's adjusts to going into India, where they have more of a larger vegetarian market.
Are there a lot of McDonald's in India?
This was in Bangalore. Bangalore
Okay.
is very current, very kind of contemporary.
Oh, okay.
So, and then this is another picture I took. I thought was interesting because it's kind of marketing more expensive apartments and kind of saying, hey, if you live here, we're going to make you something. It gives you an identity, stuff like that. I thought that was also
A very American
interesting.
influence, it looks like.
Yeah.
And this is somebody making something? A potter,
This
maybe?
is just
I can't quite
a
tell.
woman on the street.
Oh,
I
okay.
snapped a picture of while we were walking by. Different living conditions. You see a lot of different living conditions in India. We just saw that high rise, which is
Yes.
obviously very expensive, very luxurious, even by American standards, completely luxurious. Then at the same time, half a kilometer away, you can find somebody living on the street in a 5 by 10 foot shack or something like that.
Yeah, India
So,
does have a lot of
contrasts.
This is a group of
This
you?
was, yes, this is, we met up with, his name is Rohan, and he took us actually to the temple where he went to worship.
Oh, you're all barefoot.
Yeah, in the temples you have to be barefoot. It's a respectful
Now,
thing.
this was what, a Hindu temple?
Yes.
Okay. So the professor teaches religion. Is there any importance to being barefoot?
Well, it's a sign of respect. When you're
Okay.
walking around the street, the soles of your shoes are going to get dirty.
Okay.
You don't want to track that dirt into a clean and holy and pure place like a temple, so you take your shoes off when you walk into the temple. And that's common in a lot of religions. You'll take your shoes off before you enter the holy place.
And even wash your feet. We had to wash our feet
You did,
before
okay.
we, yeah.
Mhm.
This is in the temple.
This is in the temple.
And that is what, a monk? Would he be considered a monk?
That is a Hindu priest,
A Hindu
and
priest,
he's
okay.
that is actually the statue of Shirdi Sai Baba, and that is
He's too much. He has to prepare this stuff way ahead.
and that is the saint that our host Rohan
Yes.
worships, and so Rohan.
Called him a saint. Is that how they call them?
They would definitely call him a saint. They might call him their guru.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
But Rohan definitely worships Shirdi Sai Baba and definitely has a very close relationship with Shirdi Sai Baba and invited us to come to his temple and to actually participate in that, observe and or participate in that worship service.
Now, does this particular saint bring any specific things to Rohan's life?
We asked Rohan about that. He talked about praying and receiving assistance, receiving help, whether it's spiritual help or sometimes even material help he'll get from Shirdi Sai Baba. So definitely Rohan sees Shirdi Sai Baba as playing a very important role in his
Really?
life. Very much so.
Does everyone, for example, would Aastha and would Alyssa pick their own saints to work with, or is that how the system works?
I mean, I know my family doesn't really pray to saints. I mean, my mom's very religious, and she prays to the multiple gods that we have and whatnot. But you can pick a saint. There are a few gurus that people choose to follow. But I don't think my family is.
No, I mean, but does each particular one do something differently? Does one promote health? Does another promote prosperity? Marriage? Anything
some of
like
the
that?
gods do.
Yeah,
Some
the
of the gods do.
More of the gods. I
Oh, all
think.
right.
Yeah, one of my favorite is Ganesh. He's a big elephant, and he's the remover of obstacles. And I didn't really know that much about him when I went to India, but I mean, he's everywhere, and everybody in their cars has a little Ganesh statue, which was really cute. So I brought a ton of them home with me. So I really like that one because I don't know why.
So
but
you
I
could
just like
you
him.
could go to an Indian restaurant and tell
Yeah.
them, they'll say we're out of that, and you'd go, I prayed to Ganesh tonight, and I was really hoping we'd get through this, and I would get my chicken dish.
Yeah, they might have it
They
in the
might
back.
be impressed with you. Okay, this is.
That's just the sign on the way to the temple that we went to, and that's a picture of Shirdi Sai Baba.
Okay.
And this
He
is-
has an actual appearance.
Yeah, that's the statue of Shirdi, and that's Dorian again, the person who was supposed to come but didn't show
Leave
up.
Dorian alone.
Oh, here we all are.
This is where.
That's the same temple.
Okay.
And that's all of us in the temple.
Look at all the. What are those? All flowers?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, so they
All
bring
flowers.
Yeah.
fresh flowers all the time.
Yeah.
Wow.
So then after, I think it was Rohan's. Was it Rohan's?
One of the
It was the priest.
there.
Oh,
It's
one
the
of the
priest.
priests. Okay. He participates in this play that they put on, and he let us go in and like go backstage and see all the performers. And what was the play?
It's based on, I think, legends that take place, and they do classical dancing from
Yeah.
what I remember.
this
it
is
goes
one of
on-
the-
This is just one
One
of
of
the.
the
The
dancers,
costumes.
yes.
Yeah, and one of the dancers.
That's
it's,
Hanuman.
it's very
Yeah.
similar to China, isn't it? As far as the costumes with all the color.
Mhm.
Very
But that
heavy.
was-
Very
And lots
Very.
of bells, so when they dance, that the bells will jingle.
Oh, okay.
and-
And this is in the street.
Yep,
Yeah,
in the
another
marketplaces.
marketplace.
There's just flowers, like strings of flowers everywhere.
Very
It's a
pretty.
Very colorful country.
Yeah.
And this.
Those are fruit bats.
Oh, okay.
So they're huge. They're like a foot long. They're just massive. And they look kind of scary, but they're
Yeah,
actually
they do.
only interested in fruit.
Okay. And do they climb down and go into the fruit markets and steal stuff from the stands?
Not during the day.
Not during the day. Okay.
Oh,
Lunchtime.
Yes. This was when we went to one of the restaurants and we ate off of, it's a banana leaf,
yeah,
right?
banana leaf.
And that was just really cool because, I mean, you eat with your hands mostly every meal when you go to India.
Now, who
or
put
Indian
the dot there on their forehead?
Oh, we all received that from one of the temples. So
And
when
Does that have meaning?
I'm not 100% sure, but I
Okay.
think it's a form of blessing.
A blessing.
Yeah,
Okay.
from the god.
So kind of like Ash Wednesday would
Yeah,
be in
almost,
Catholicism,
yeah.
where you get.
Mhm.
Okay.
The interesting thing about these meals is how everything is little tiny little dishes, which is really
Yeah,
cool.
lots
Lots
of
of it, lots
Lots
of
of
it.
it.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a rock formation, I would assume.
That is a rock formation.
See, this is why I'm the host.
This is when we went north to a place called Humpy, which is
Humpty Dumpty, no?
just Humpy. And Humpy was the capital of the Vijayanagara Empire in the north of Karnataka, and it was just a fascinating place. These are just some of the rock formations around it. It's all granite, and so everything in Humpy is made out of granite. The temples and the political buildings and whatnot were all made out of granite.
It's pretty incredible because that's what the entire landscape looks like. It'll be little flat with a little bit of vegetation, but most of it is just these huge rock formations.
And this, when did this empire, when was it in existence?
1400s, if I recall correctly.
Oh, so not all that long
No,
ago.
not that long ago.
Oh, okay. Because India, I think, was under the Mongol rule till maybe 1100, I think.
Well, parts of India were under Mughal rule until the 1500s or 1600s.
Oh, was it that late?
Around the 1500s, starts to disintegrate in the 1400s. Around the 1500s, you start to have some European powers move in, and then they eventually establish
This
control.
beautiful photo is of women carrying something,
That's also in Humpy. Just a snapshot I took in
but
Humpy.
this doesn't look nearly as dry and, oh, look at this.
Yes.
A lot of monkeys.
Oh, a lot. Were there?
Pretty much everywhere we
This
went.
is a real cute monkey, though.
See, they look cute, but
Yeah.
a lot of the monkeys really aren't that cute.
They bite.
They bite, they'll attack,
Oh,
they'll
really?
steal
one
things
jumped on
from
my
you.
backpack. It was terrifying.
What, wanted to steal something
I
out
think
of there?
it just really liked me because, it's just, I'm personable. So I was like, oh, yeah, let me jump on her back.
Jill's very friendly.
I said, let's
The
get
monkeys
that
picked up on
blonde-haired,
that.
blue-eyed American.
Yeah.
So this is a woman selling jewelry in Humpy, and she's actually not so much a local. She's from the mountains. So
Okay.
she's what in Indian governmental language would be called a tribal, someone who has lived up in the mountains, kind of culturally isolated from the rest of India. And very traditional dress, very traditional jewelry, and making her living by selling handmade jewelry from her area of the state.
Did you find they oh, go ahead.
Oh, that's just the same woman. And then the woman on the left is named Mira, and she also accompanied us on the first part of the trip. And she was just brilliant. She knew everything about everything, and she was a huge addition to the trip. Because
And
anything
she's a
we
tour
asked her,
guide?
she's actually has a PhD, and she is now engaged in cultural preservation in Karnataka. So she tries to make sure that ancient, valuable artifacts are protected, they're preserved. That if there's an ancient town with old structures, that they don't get torn down to make room for new buildings, stuff like that.
So she's very involved in saving things.
Very much so.
Oh, look at this.
And this is Humpy.
How far was this from where I saw all the greenery? This looks like a whole different...
Not really that far.
Really?
It was
Did it-
really
far?
only
Yeah.
maybe a couple miles walk.
Did it surprise you that it changed the topography so
Yeah.
quickly?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
Yeah.
this day we walked pretty much all over Humpy, and I mean, everything was just breathtaking. I think you would just go from seeing
This is like
vegetation
going
and
from the
then-
desert in Arizona
Yeah.
to...
Yeah.
but it's not that far away from each
Yeah.
other. It was crazy.
Oh, look at the size of the boulders. Wow.
It's almost like
Oh.
going to a different planet.
Yeah.
There's nothing. It's
Yeah.
just these huge, massive
Look
rock
how little you
formations.
guys look compared to that.
yeah.
Wow. This is, I gather, a former temple?
This was a bathing place, so as we talked about, you need to cleanse yourself before you enter a temple, and also the act of bathing itself is ritually cleansing. So a lot of the temples would have bathing areas. So
Okay.
and this is just one of
This
those.
looks a little like Cambodia. Like, what is it, Angkor?
Angkor Wat.
Yeah.
And in Humpy, we saw a lot of old structural things. This
Like
is
this?
the elephant stables.
Yeah.
These are actually
Oh,
stables
really?
for the elephants.
Yeah.
So with this
Really?
old empire, we went and we got to see where the palaces would have been and where people would have lived and where where they would have gotten their water
And
and,
they had
things like that.
elephant stables. I've never even heard
Yeah.
of those.
yeah.
Okay, and these
There
are
we
all
all
of
are.
you
Yep,
Yep.
down by the bath again.
looking like you're preparing for a show.
Yeah. Uh-oh.
Oh,
Oh,
goats!
goodness. So in order to get across these rivers, they put us in these round boats, which are really terrifying, but
And they
really
look like
fun.
baskets. It
Yeah,
looks like a
That's what they
basket.
basically are.
Yeah,
Oh,
They're
you were like,
basically
you were
big
like
baskets.
Moses.
Yeah.
They're made from bamboo, I believe.
Okay.
And I mean, a lot of us fit in it. And then this was a wonderful trip because we got to go with a beautiful goat.
And a dog.
Yep, and a dog.
Oh, the
He
goat
came
was
in-
with you on
yeah,
the boat.
yes.
Okay.
It was very interesting.
And Aastha,
but-
who doesn't swim, so she looks a little afraid in this picture because it was quite the experience for her. But we all, conquered a fear.
Yep.
Never
But that
done
was
that.
very exciting.
Oh, look at this. All right. Oh, that's the motor.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's one man with a
Rode
paddle
it.
hauling us. It was actually pretty incredible. The
Well,
strength he must
India
have
has
had.
a lot of labor,
Yeah.
so they can utilize the labor efficiently like that.
There was I think this is the younger of the two. It was actually his son. He said he was 16, but we didn't believe him. He was
No.
probably maybe 13, and he's hauling all of us in these boats. It was incredible.
He tried.
Well,
Oh.
tried.
Oh, why you got
not
stuck?
succeed.
They did. It wasn't our boat,
Yeah.
thankfully.
They
We
were
were in the other one, but
Well, this is different than the Kennebunk,
oh yeah, here he is.
Kennebunk River up
Yeah.
there at Maine, where you're from, where they.
And
So-
this is where they got stuck. It
Oh yeah, he's trying.
was actually really nice on the water, though. It was cool.
Oh, you made them go to
Yeah.
a
His dad went back to get him.
yeah.
They left the goat, and so after they left the goat, I kind of looked up and I noticed there were these picnickers, and the goat was trying to steal their food. So I kind of felt responsible. So I went up and got the goat and brought the goat back.
And put a leash on him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and put a leash.
Oh,
on
I
so
figured you decided that was your new pet for the travel.
Yes.
All right, what is this?
the goat got a little attached to us and followed
Yes.
us around for a little bit. And these are just some of the temple markings. That's a Shiva Lingam. It's a symbol of the god Shiva, And actually, all of those round things are Shiva lingams with the main one in the center. And that's just one picture I got from Humpy.
So this was the palace, you think? This
Yeah.
area?
Yes, this
Okay.
was.
If you see those little squares on the
Yes.
in the pictures, those would have actually been columns. So he would have
Oh,
been
okay.
the king would have been seated in the middle, and that's where everybody would have come to kind of be presented to
It
him.
really looks quite beautiful.
It was.
Oh, I've seen that before. That's one of the saints or gods, or
That is a goddess. I believe that's Durga, if I can make out the picture.
Yeah,
Well,
I think so.
Yeah, I think
the bottom left is the demon head,
Yeah.
maybe, possibly.
oh, there's the warning about the
monkeys
monkeys.
Yep.
You know, I will never forget. We were in Victoria Falls in Africa, in Zambia, which is across the river from anyway, I won't get into it. And they had monkeys everywhere, and that you had to literally, when you went out and had lunch outside,
Yeah.
you had to have somebody surrounding you, your table, a waiter or whatever, to make sure the monkeys didn't come steal all your food.
Same thing in Butami, which is where we
Yeah.
are right now, the Butami cave temples.
There's,
There they are again. I mean, they're like I said, they're really cute from far away.
oh yeah,
But,
I
and
know.
it's amazing. They were opening the water. They would steal water bottles from people and manage to open the caps.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Very smart.
Now this dude was messing with the monkeys and taunting them, and the monkeys were starting to get angry. And then this older man actually yelled at this younger man, saying,
Leave
yelled
the
at him in English,
Leave the monkeys alone.
saying, "Look, those things you might play with them, but they can bite you. And if they bite you, it's going to do some damage. So tell them the guy to quit."
Oh,
being
so
like-"
they can get vicious.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
really?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
But they surrounded these
So-
caves.
Yeah. You see, they're actually in the temple. And that's when one of them jumped on Mira's back, right?
Yeah.
Now this is another saint.
Yes, I believe that is a
Jane.
That's a Jane. Correct. Good job.
I'm sorry, say it
It
again.
was a Jain temple.
That's the name of the saint, Saint Jane?
Different
No,
religion.
it's a
Oh.
different religion.
Oh, the religion
Yes.
is called Jain.
Yeah.
Jainism.
Oh,
And that is
forgive
a
me.
Jain Tirthankara, which I'm not sure which one. They're 24, and I can't tell. I think it's Bahubali, but I'm not sure.
Okay, and these are cows. Are they sacred in this area? No.
These are just decorated local cows.
But isn't there prohibition on slaughter of cows in
Yeah,
parts
it's
of India?
against the religion. Yeah,
What,
they're-
Hindu?
Hindu religion. Yeah.
But what about Jain's religion? No?
Jains are
Well,
even
they're-
more
yeah.
non-violent and vegetarian than most Hindus.
Oh, okay.
It's very,
Nuns and-
Jainism is very strict.
Nuns and monks will even have like a little broom, and they'll sweep the path in front of them so they don't step on any bugs. It's that
And put like
Oh, the
masks.
animals don't slip, Steve?
the
Yeah.
monks or the nuns, so they don't want to harm any living creature, whether it's a
Oh,
fly
in other words, oh, you mean,
or it's an
in other words,
animal.
they're walking and they sweep the bugs
Yes,
away so
yes,
they don't
yes.
step on them?
Yep.
Okay.
And then they'll also put like veils over their face or masks just so they won't like inhale any bugs. So
A
Okay.
really strict Jain will not even eat root vegetables, because so much damage is done to the earth and to animals in harvesting the root vegetables.
So they prefer nuts and fruits from trees?
Yes.
Okay.
That's very strict. And Gandhi was very influenced by some Jain neighbors that he had growing up.
Gandhi, though, was
Gandhi
Hindu.
was a Hindu,
Yes.
but his value of nonviolence was partly under the influence of some Jain neighbors that he had. So
Huh.
this is Hirabinikal. Everybody say Hirabinikal.
Rabbinical.
Good job. These are some old rock paintings from Hirabinikal. These are only about 2,000 years old.
Okay.
So not like you're going to see in France or anything like that, but still very fascinating cave, or not really cave paintings, more rock paintings. These were under the ledge on a rock, and you could look up at them. And that's some more,
animals, I think.
yeah. There you go. Tell them what's going on.
Okay, so
Is that you?
That's me.
when
Oh.
we went on a hike, and what happened was we were told that there was this big rock that if you hit it, it would sound like a drum, and you could. I think it was a 1 kilometer, or that you would be able to hear this drum if you hit
Oh,
it hard
listen to
enough.
her. I'm so impressed. She's giving me
So-
kilometers. Okay.
So I didn't. I stayed and videotaped, but JP decided he was going to walk up to the top and bang the drum. So they all hiked up, and he did. I don't know if it was that successful. I don't know if it went a kilometer. I think if you
Could
used
you
a
hear it?
stick, yes,
Yeah, you could hear
yes,
it.
you could
You
hear it.
did? Okay.
Oh, there
So
they are
that's
again.
us again. We all hit the rock a few times. And then these are the megaliths. So these are actually burial chambers. These are
Oh,
also
really?
about 2,000 years old. And these are in Hirabinakal, and these are some of the oldest, I believe, megalithic structures in India. Not
So-
the oldest, but
So what
some
was
of the
their
oldest.
process for burial? Did they wrap the people like the Egyptians do, or was it more of just a light shroud? And did they discuss with you at all what their method of burial was?
I think there was, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there was also some discussion about what they were actually, and some of them were for burials, but they also are a little unsure as to why they did that. Or there's shorter ones too, and they don't really know.
Shorter people, maybe.
Yeah, well, there was actually a legend that we were told that the local people believe there are like little dwarves that live there and like hoard their treasures. So there'll be certain times of year where you'll have the local people will come out and dig underneath these little structures looking for the treasures that these people left behind.
Which is sad because then the structures collapse.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So a lot of the structures had collapsed due to people digging for treasure, gold, or stuff underneath.
Now this is
This is their favorite part of the trip.
This is the overnight train. It's an experience.
I could be mistaken, but I don't think they have added much rail capacity to India. I just saw a story on it since the British left in 1947 or something. So trains are a big thing in India.
Very much so.
So you were on the train. Oh, look at this. This must be the train station.
No.
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 This is
Aastha, tell them what
Mysore
that is.
Palace.
This is, like Jill said, Mysore Palace, and we went from Bangalore to Mysore, and this is just outside in the courtyard. They still light it up at nighttime, and you're allowed to take a tour inside. It's my favorite part of the trip, but it was really pretty on the inside.
It looks a little bit Arabian. I wonder if there was a look at the
the
dome.
arches and the
Yeah. Up, the cow again.
So, yeah, this is up on Chamundi Hill in Mysore. And that's a monkey on the temple in Chamundi Hill
Oh, they climb right up.
in Mysore.
Yeah.
Oh,
They like
absolutely.
live
Yeah.
inside of it.
Yeah.
Really?
This is where it jumped on me.
Oh, this is where you had that lovely experience.
Yes, it was great.
Oh, so they climb right up and through the whole thing.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, this was an amazing experience that we had. So when we left the temple, we were just all gathered together and we were leaving and ready to go back on the bus, and there was a big crowd and they were bringing these deities back from a village. I'm not sure what they were there for. Sometimes they're there just for if there's something going wrong in the village or if there's like a big event happening, but they had this big celebration bringing these deities back into the temple, and they dressed them up, and it was like a big welcome home ceremony for them.
There's
So
a
it
big
was-
band,
Yeah.
and there's
Mardi
a lot of
Gras.
people. It kind of
Yeah.
seemed like
Yeah.
welcoming the deity back home, basically. It was really cool.
And this is another.
This, I believe, we're at Baylor and Hollybead now. Is that correct?
I think so.
And these are some just super. These temples were much smaller than some of the big temples we saw, but they were so ornate, and the outsides of the temples were so intricately carved that they were just mind-blowing.
Now,
And these temples were made, the temples we saw in Humpy were made from granite.
okay,
And granite's really hard to carve. And
Right.
You can't put too much detail in granite because it'll just fall apart. These were made out of soapstone. And the soapstone
which is much softer.
much softer, and you can put tremendously more detail
Oh.
into soapstone. And so they were much more, not as grand, but much more aesthetically
Detailed.
impressive. Yeah.
When you use the word deity, like you mentioned, let me have you explain this.
That's just the ceiling. It's just a picture
Okay.
of the ceiling there.
When you talk about they dressed up the deity, can you explain to our audience how you utilize the word deity?
So it's just like basically like the gods, pretty much, just like in a smaller form.
Okay,
So that's basically what it is, so that they can like bring them to villages instead of like the big giant statues. It's just like a smaller version
Portable.
of it. Yeah.
portable,
Yeah,
God.
pretty much.
Portable gods.
Yeah, that's all. Pretty much.
And this, the elephants. Okay.
Now we're in Dubaray Elephant Camp.
Yes. So what it was, what they had, the way they had prefaced this whole thing was there's a lot of conflict between elephants and villagers. They'll trample homes and crops and people sometimes. So there's a lot of conflict. So they've been kind of moved to camps like these where people can come and they kind of train them. We were allowed to ride them and we bathed them in the river, which was actually a really, really cool experience.
Oh, so you did ride them?
Yes, we were able to go for a ride. And
Did they have
feed
the little
them.
seats on top of them?
Yes, yeah, they did. So we all kind of got to have our hand at being an elephant trainer.
This
for a little
story
bit.
you'll get a kick out of. I think I've told it on this show before, but I was in India, and we were in Agra, and we had to climb up this stairway, and they used to put 3 or 4 people on top of the elephant to climb up to the top to this fort. And you're all too young, but Jackie Kennedy was seen in this trip in the 60s. So there's 3 or 4 people each time. So finally I climb up, and they're ready to put me on, and they put me on the elephant. And I said, well, where are the other people? They said, no, you have to go alone. So they sent me up alone because I was too heavy for the elephant.
Oh, no.
So that was my experience in India on the elephant ride. Like to join me for a swim. Beware of crocodiles. Very nice.
We did actually go in the river, though.
You did.
And
Yeah.
did not encounter any crocodiles. So
You took the chance, though.
we took the chance.
We all survived.
Yeah.
Now this is Balakup, which is this is the largest Tibetan Buddhist center of learning outside of Tibet.
But
And
you're way south of Tibet, am I
we're
correct?
We're a long way from Tibet.
Yeah.
But when the Tibetans fled from Tibet into India, they basically said that the political center became Dharamsala in North India, and then the one of the educational institutions settled in Karnataka in Balakup. And so we went there and met some of the Tibetan refugees. We had an American monk hosting us and showing us around.
Oh, really?
Yes.
How interesting.
Yeah.
And this is with the Dalai Lama. They would follow the same.
Yeah, they're definitely in the same group as the
Okay.
Dalai Lama, but he's based up north in Dharamsala.
Okay.
So that's the interior of the monastery. at
Beautiful.
Balakup. Yeah.
Wow.
You can see how large they are. You see the people at the bottom. So this is very large and impressive structure.
These are some of the students of the monastery, starting from a really, really young age. They'll be sent to learn and study here.
Now they look more, I should say, Tibetan than they do Indian.
They're Tibetan.
Oh, they are Tibetan.
Tibetan.
Okay, look at that.
There's a pretty big Tibetan community that is obviously around this monastery.
Really? Okay.
So they'll send their boys there, yeah.
So they live in that area as well permanently?
Yes,
Oh,
they
they
were
do.
settled there by the Indian government as refugees after the Tibetans fled Tibet in
When
the
China took it over?
late 50s, early 60s.
Okay. Oh, I never knew that.
Mhm.
So India reached out to them as a religious minority seeking.
Yeah, India,
Refuge.
India showed a lot of courage in hosting the Tibetan refugees because it could have provoked a war with China, even. So it was very
Well, that's
dangerous.
very
That's our
interesting.
host right there.
Yeah, the man on the left is our American host who is translating for the monk on the right. And it was really interesting because they sat us down and they gave us some of their stories and their hardships, how they were imprisoned for trying to practice their religion and things like that.
Imprisoned by the Chinese.
Yes, yes. And that's part of the reason that some of them had fled, was they felt like they could no longer practice their religion effectively in the way they wanted to and spread the teachings in Tibet.
You know, I'll have to ask our producer, Andrea, to find me people who've been to religious situations in Tibet. It'd be an interesting show to talk about religious issues in Tibet since China consumed it. Well, they won't say they consumed it, but anyway.
That's true.
Oh, a marching band.
Right. So now we're in Shravanabelagola, which is we're in a Jain center again.
Back to the Jain
Back
religion.
to the Jains, which are quite large in Karnataka. They're always a small religion, but as far as where they are, Karnataka is one of their centers, and Shravanabelagola is one of their largest, most important shrines, or statues, we should see. So eventually, this was just a procession, and there's actually a Jain sant in the center of that crowd, which fortunately for your TV show, you can't really see him because he's buck naked. So he is a sky-clad Jain saint.
Now, how many people practice the Jain religion, would you say, in India?
All total, I think 6 to 7 million.
Oh, so it's a fairly sizable. Well, India has 1 billion people or so,
Right.
so small by comparison.
Correct.
Okay. And this is
more of the procession, which I was kind of off by myself when I took these pictures. I don't know where y'all were, but you missed it. And so I took videotape of this and a whole bunch of pictures, and they're all very friendly. They didn't mind that I was filming them. They were smiling. And then later on, if you go forward another picture, you see I took some pictures of the kids.
Oh, there's the swastika that they always say is an Indian symbol to a degree.
Right, that's the swastika, which is really an international symbol. It's at least 3,000 years old, maybe 4,000 or 5,000 years old. Came well before Nazism, and it's still.
But it's what, backwards or something?
It's twisted.
It is.
Yeah.
It goes the opposite direction.
Right.
So this one's leftward spinning, as you can see, and it's actually. Was it originally meant to convey blessings and peace upon those
Really?
who see it? Very much so. Very much so. Now this is going up the mountain to Shravanabelagola. Which, do we do this barefoot?
Yes,
Yes,
it was.
it's
The stones were
awesome.
hot, and there was a lot of
There's
stairs.
so
I don't
many
remember how
stairs.
many.
641.
She
How
remembers.
many? 641. Look how she remembers.
641. It was a traumatic experience.
I know. Did you at least stop and rest a little bit?
Yes.
Plenty.
Whenever I have to climb something like that, every 10 steps I kind of say, okay, I need to take a breath. And Mrs. Barron says, I'll be down at the bottom. And she goes to a cafe and has a Diet Coke and some water. And I schlep up these stairs thinking I'm doing a ritualistic thing.
And that is Bahubali.
Okay. And he is?
So this is at the top of.
Oh, this is what you
this is
climb
at
the
very
stairs
top.
for?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, so it was well worth it.
Okay.
So that statue is ginormous compared to everything else, and you can kind of see the people down the bottom. But yeah, that was at the top.
And is he a saint as well? No?
He's
He's
Tirthankara, right?
Yes.
yeah.
He's a Jain Tirthankara. It's basically like I guess it's the equivalent of a Jain saint.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, he's a Jain.
He is a Jain.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Yes.
And I know I think it's every once a year or every 2 years they have a festival. I think like a week-long festival where they pour different liquids on him. So it'll be milk and then turmeric water or, different. There's 7 or 8 different colors. And they pray at the bottom. It's a big festival that goes on.
So they color him up. Just this particular saint or a lot of...
Just this statue.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So if you type in Bahubali and Shravanabelagola on Google and look at the images, a lot of the images, Bahubali will be completely white, covered in milk, or completely yellow, covered in turmeric.
Turmeric, yeah.
And it's just amazing.
Oh. Well, it's a big statue. Oh my God, he's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Absolutely huge.
see, from here, you can really get a sense because that's a person
Right.
in the corner.
Right.
Yes.
Is this built made out of soapstone?
No, this is granite.
And how old is he?
Oh, when was Bahubali carved? I'm thinking he's 1,000 years old, but
At least,
I might,
really? That's
I
okay.
might not be getting that right.
Oh my God.
I think that's about right. There's a group picture in front of Bahubali.
Yeah. This was definitely, for me, the most impressive statue that we saw, just because
Oh,
it
really?
was so, like,
Size.
yeah, just the size was,
Oh, he really is
Yeah.
like a giant.
Now here's where we went up on the opposite hill, and this picture is taken from the mountain on the other side, looking back at Bahubali. So it just gives you a sense for the scale of things and the scale of the entire complex, the size of Bahubali. It's just
Now,
amazing.
if you look at his face, he doesn't look like a traditional Indian to me. Was this area, do you think, were the people living there more Tibetan or something that long ago, or no?
No,
I don't know.
I think he looks,
Looking at him, he doesn't look that Indian to me.
I think he looks fairly standard for the area. Of course, you're going back about 1,000 years, so it's hard to really tell even what the ethnic makeup would have been back then. But
Now, this is what?
so this is after we went to Shravanabelagola, we went back to Mysore and we went to a school called St. Rita's. And it was a high school, but also my wife and I have been sponsoring a child through the Christian Children's Fund or
Okay.
Child Fund.
Yep.
And we've been doing that for, I think, like 13 years now.
Okay.
So we've been doing this for 13 years, writing back and forth to his mom at first and then to him, exchanging pictures and stuff, but
in this community.
in this community. So I
Oh.
finally got to meet him.
Oh, you met him.
Correct. After 12 years of writing back and forth and
Yeah.
sponsoring him through Christian Children's Fund. So this was a really
Oh, how exciting.
touching event for me, and probably well, this is definitely my favorite part of the trip. I mean, I got to meet our sponsored child, and my wife to this day is very jealous of me that I got to meet them all, and she did not get to meet them all. But that was just
Now, does he want to come to the United States or anything?
well, we've invited him, and we'd love to have him.
Yeah.
There are issues with finances and whatnot,
Okay.
but we do want him to continue his schooling. He's doing very well in school.
Okay.
And we want to make sure he has the financial opportunity to continue with his schooling. So if you continue through with the pictures we have, that's him right there. And that's his
Oh,
mom.
in the middle,
Yep,
okay.
that's his mom on the left and his dad on the right. So they were there when we showed up, and I got to meet them, which was just wonderful. His name is Emmanuel Richard.
Okay. Now, not that it's important, are they Christians?
They are actually Roman Catholic.
Really?
Yes.
And what's the percentage of Roman Catholics you find? in
Very
it?
small.
Very
Very
small.
small.
Okay.
So maybe 2% of India is Roman Catholic.
Oh, that's actually high.
Yeah, that's
So
a
you
rough
think there
guess.
could be 20 million Roman Catholics?
There could be. There could be. It's
Do you know if
hard.
the Catholic Church is looking at India as a growth area for Catholics?
I would imagine not so much as
Okay.
maybe China or Africa.
Okay, no, Africa I know is very big.
Mhm. So these are.
So is that's his American name was Emmanuel, or
No, his name is Emmanuel Richard. So a lot of Christians in India have English last names.
Oh,
a lot of
okay.
them when they converted.
well, you should have your university help adopt him and
Well,
bring him back
if
to
I could get him
Emmanuel from Emmanuel
Yeah.
College. You know.
that would be nice. And this was just the school, St. Rita's. We went around talking to some of the students in St. Rita's. I thought it was interesting. They have a much more conventional education there, more traditional Indian education. So they were not as extroverted or engaging as the students at Innisfree, who were getting an alternative education.
So here's another group from the school, and we were just teaching them songs, and I think they taught us some back too, but it was just really fun. They absolutely loved everything that they were doing with us, and it was just a cool little interaction.
And this is more
This is again just at the same school, just on the field. They have a big open field, and they play cricket.
Oh yeah, they would
Yeah,
play
yeah,
cricket.
cricket.
Yeah.
Soccer.
All the time. Soccer.
Rugby.
It was
Volleyball.
basically like recess.
Yeah.
We got to like participate in recess for a few days, which was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
JP got pretty into some of the soccer games.
I did. It was ridiculous. Very, very unhealthy.
Oh, and there we are. We taught some of the younger children some games from my days as a camp counselor. We taught them some songs and dances and things
Where
like
were
that.
you a camp counselor? Up in Maine?
Up in Maine.
Oh, which camp?
Bryant Pond 4-H Camp and Learning Center.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So you were familiar with the kids, and they're the same all over the world, huh?
There was a little bit of a language barrier this time, but
Yeah, we all broke up into different groups and took different ages and taught them various things like just games or songs, and it was just really fun. And they all loved it so much.
they all wanted to play with our hair and get
Yeah.
our autograph.
Oh, really? Oh, you were
Yeah.
celebrities.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, we had to sign so many little pieces of paper because they wanted our autograph.
And wanted to take so many pictures. They were just
Yes.
amazed with, because we all have like camera phones and everything, so we would
Oh,
take
you mean
pictures.
they weren't even used to seeing?
Yeah.
Because I think India, I would think, would be fairly
Mhm.
high tech, familiarity. They weren't, huh?
No, not with this village. But we took so many pictures, and after every picture, they were like, "Let me see," and we were
of
like,
course.
"Oh, okay." So, but that was fun too.
Yeah, India, especially. There's so many American companies with India businesses.
What's going on here, Joe?
This is my favorite little girl from the village. We were like attached at the hip, and she would not let go of my hand, and she just led me throughout the whole entire village.
Oh,
and
really?
yeah,
She
it was-
adopted you?
Yeah, I loved her so much. She was
Very cute.
a firecracker also.
Now I see someone on a motorcycle. Is that her dad or something?
No, I think that was just someone from the village or
Okay.
going through.
This is actually
But-
interesting. This that area, if you go back to that picture, that area was actually a Dalit neighborhood, which have been called outcasts in the past, or untouchables,
Oh,
or Harijans in the past. So this is a Dalit neighborhood, and
that little girl is Dalit?
probably
Yeah.
since she lives there. And the program,
Oh, she's very cute.
yeah, the program that we were working with, which is based at St. Rita's High School, did development work in this neighborhood. And so we went out there to see them do some of their kind of pro-education, pro-health development work.
I found go ahead. I'll let you talk about this.
This is just at the one fund again at our time with recess, and just a picture with the group of kids. And after every picture, like just more and more kids would come in for the picture. It was just
I was going
They loved
to
it.
say what I have found. We've had many guests on the show who have been involved in essentially, I'll call it Christian missionary work all over the world. And they still, when you think of missionaries, you think of, when they came to America in, the early 1700s or whatever, but today there's modern missionaries, and they do wonderful work of building churches and schools and medical centers. And I see here too in India. It's nice to see.
So that's my sponsor child. That's Emmanuel Richard. We went to visit him, or actually I went to visit him in his home while my students were working with some of the participants in the program. And so I got to see his house, which is just tiny. It might be 10 feet by 10 feet, and 3 people live there. So obviously not a wealthy family by any stretch of the imagination, but he's a very good drummer. And he drums in this kind of Indian style using his fingers. And so we listened to him drum, and I was just enormously impressed by his drumming. So my wife and I, for Christmas, got him a traditional Indian tabla.
Oh,
which
and
is
sent
a
it to him.
type of drum, yeah. Well, we bought it. We sent it to the program, and they bought it for him and gave him the drum. So we're very pleased to encourage him.
And
in that
how many of these
development.
students in that community are connected with families like yours?
You know, a bunch of them had sponsored.
They
a
did.
bunch of them were sponsored. I don't know what percentage of them were.
So it must have been wonderful to see your money and the results for sending your check.
It was. It was very nice to see it being wisely used and prudently used and whatnot.
Good.
Very good, well-run program.
Wonderful. And this?
This is Kotagiri.
So in the last final part of our trip, we went up into the mountains into a place called Uti, and like JP said, and we got to see more of a village, not even a village, more tribal, isolated communities. And this is actually a weaving done by the tribal women there. It's actually, I think there's a big conservation project because it's really individualized to that particular area, and it's a lot of wedding garments and ceremonial garb and things like that. And there she is actually working on
Doing the stitching.
fabric. Yeah, it's pretty incredible actually how quickly she can go through
The
it.
doors
but-
look nice too.
Yes, and it's all this traditional, those three colors, the black and the
There's
white
all
and the
the
red.
greenery again.
Yes, there's a lot of farms way up in the mountains. It was absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, they have a lot of
actually.
agriculture in India.
And this is back in Uti. And that hotel in the background was the last place we stayed before we went back to America. So way up in the mountains.
How beautiful.
It was gorgeous. A lot of tea plantations.
Oh,
things
you
like
did
that.
see the tea plate. Did you
Yeah.
see them
Plantations.
cooking the tea and stuff? Where they pull the leaves and they heat them? No?
No, we didn't
Okay.
see much of that. We just kind of drove by. We weren't there for too long, but it was really nice kind of to end the trip on a note like
Tea's
that.
a big business.
Yes.
And all the different teas. Was that the end of our
That's the end.
Oh
That's
my
all of
goodness. I got to tell you, fabulous. So where's your next trip planned for?
Well, I'm going.
Professor JP.
I'm going back to India summer 2016 with
Okay.
students again, and I think we're going to go back to Karnataka because we enjoyed it so much this time. It went so well, and we have some connections in Karnataka now, so we can get outside of our kind of American bubble and get more into the culture.
Maybe your wife will join you. She'll meet the boy in person.
She would like to. The problem, well, the blessed problem we have is 3 young children at home.
Oh, those
As
kids
you
can
know.
take care of themselves.
They can't
I'm
quite,
convinced of it.
yeah, they can't quite cook and clean up after themselves yet. So
Well, I have to say thank you all very, very much for coming to Travels with Jack. I'm thrilled you made it.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
wonderful trip. Thank you for sharing. I always appreciate it. I feel like I'm in college, well, not even college, in class with the professor, and he's giving me religious education. I'll have to sign up for one of the classes and give up my day job. I'll know all the religions of the world.
Yep.
Anyway, thank you all very much again.
Thank
and
you.
thank you for having us.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank
my
you for having
pleasure.
us.
My pleasure.